Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 1 of the second season of the Infernal Archive. Today, we'll be watching the 2012 independent horror film Found. Andrew, could you please consult the Doom Wikipedia scroll of fucked up shit and give us the little Wikipedia blurb here?
Found is a 2012 American horror film written and directed by Scott Schirmer. It is based on the novel of the same name by Todd Rigney. The October people picked up the distribution rights in 2014 after the film screened at various film festivals.
Alrighty, so we got a festival darling, I suppose, that was picked up for wider distribution. I was reading a little bit about this film. Apparently it was banned in Australia when it was first released for crazy sexualized violence. We know how to pick them. They had to cut 2 minutes out of the film, and then it was released in Australia. I don't know if it was outright banned in the UK, but they also had to cut 98 seconds out of the film in order for it to be released in the UK.
So there's 2 minutes of this film that are incredibly fucked.
Yes.
Maybe not simultaneous. Maybe it's like
spread out.
Spread out. Maybe like specific fucked up close-ups or something that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's like you can see it from a distance and it's okay for censorship, but then it gets close up and it's like, ooh.
They did end up releasing unrated versions in Australia, so you can see the uncut version of the film. I'm not sure what version of the film I have. I don't think it's I'm assuming it's the normal version, not the Australian version.
Yeah, which version did we purchase? I don't know.
I have no idea.
We have to look at our receipt and see.
We have to look at the receipt to see if it says the uncut version. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go check out the movie, and then we're going to come back to you with our thoughts in a little bit.
Worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Welcome back, children of the night. We just finished watching Found from 2012, and what a ride it was. Due to the censorship that we talked about before, I wasn't sure what kind of a movie this was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to lean into like really graphic, upsetting content, or if it was like maybe it was just censored unnecessarily or whatever. It leaned into the really graphic, upsetting subject matter.
Yeah, I think one thing that's like we have to note right off the bat that I think is pretty impressive is that this movie was made for $8,000.
Yes, from what I found on line, that was the first. Yeah. I'd have to like back it up, but from what I saw, the first source said $8,000 they filmed this movie, which is less than they made Paranormal Activity for, which is like famously like the lowest fucking budget thing ever made.
Yeah, definitely there are certain aspects that show the lack of budget. Notably, I think the most notable would be the sound. The sound was very hit and miss, and
yeah, in terms of like the recording of the dialogue.
Yeah, the recording of the dialogue
was very too soft. But that's the thing, is like you could tell like they were
just recording sound in whatever room they were in, and using like a omnidirectional mic in the room, like
there was no
mic.
ADR work or nothing.
No,
done. There was nothing. Basically,
no boom
post.
Work.
Yeah,
no
post sound work was done. The score was really good. We said before, like we didn't know. We're not sure if it was like, I didn't stick around for the credits. I probably should have, but like we don't know if it was composed, like the music was original for the film, or if it was like stock music. But even if it was just stock music, it was very well like gathered and choreographed. When you like what museum? What do you do with a museum? You
catalog.
There's a C word that I can't think of right now. Anyways, music was good. The performances were also not really great across the board.
Overall, kind of hit and miss. You could tell that.
Curate is the word I was looking for. Thank you.
Yes. You could tell that, you know, it was a couple of people who were serious actors, and then probably friends, family, volunteers who were just the parents specifically. Their role was smaller.
Yeah.
And the dad in particular was pretty like, I don't know, one note to say the least.
Yeah.
In general, I think the main two, like the brothers, were okay. The older brother was.
He had very difficult dialogue.
Yes.
Even that's the thing. I'll say that it was really challenging dialogue for even a seasoned actor could do it, but like it's tough stuff. They're saying weird emotional like stuff that nobody says in their day to day. So there's not like a lot of reference to draw from. And like I have to assume, because the movie was made for such small amount of money, that they probably filmed in a very constricted time frame.
A couple weeks at most.
Probably. Yeah. So it's like they're getting like 1 or 2 takes maybe per shot. I don't know how much I can't think of words right now. Choreography, how much rehearsal they would have done beforehand. I'm very impressed with what they got across for $8,000. It maybe suffers a little bit from that like overreaching thing where it's like Paranormal Activity. It is filmed. It's done the way it's done so that it can maximize the $10,000 they had or whatever. This film is like a traditional narrative. Like it's got lots of different locations. It's actually a relatively impressive cast. Like there's a scene at a school with kids, and there's like 15 kids. Like there's a bunch of kids.
There's a
like
class of kids, multiple teachers.
Yep.
They have a scene at like a little church thing with like adults and another kid, and then like just multiple. Yeah, quite an extensive cast for the budget, especially. Even not factoring in the budget, I think it's based off of a book, so obviously there's that going for it in terms of they have a narrative that was someone wrote a book and it got published, so there's something to the story at the very least. I think that's the strongest part, I would say, is the plot. The story generally was compelling. Like I was interested from the beginning to the end. I was interested. I didn't know what was going to happen. As much as there's some like maybe some laughable or like some not like bad funny parts or whatever, the narrative kept me interested and engaged from minute 1 to the end.
That's it's like I'd say like the script is well written. Like even if it's based on a book, like it is a well adapted screenplay. If you threw somebody like whatever, if you made a version of this film that was like $10-15 million, like it would be a pretty dynamite picture. Like if you had some like A-class performers and you had like, because the things that were lacking in this film were all
budgetary, really.
And production based. It was like they would fuck up the white balance, they would fuck up the exposure, the sound recording wasn't great, some of the performances and some of the deliveries weren't great. Like it was all stuff like that, and it's like I feel like with so many movies like that would kill it, but because the story and the script was so intriguing, and because the way they dished out information, it was so well done, and the fact that we knew that it was an independent picture, so I feel like we were maybe
more forgiving.
Yeah, it was great. It's like, it's not that I would never recommend this film. Like if you're like, I want to watch a spooky Halloween movie, I'm never gonna recommend this movie to you.
No, this is more of like a character study piece type thing.
In season 1, we watched a movie called Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which we really, really enjoyed. And I think if you really enjoyed that film, I would recommend this to you. Be like, if you enjoyed the content of that film, if you enjoyed like the complex characters and the not like you're like a narrative that's kind of bucks some trends. It's like this would be like that. It's like Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, but with not great performances. Basically.
To be fair to the performances though as well, as much as they weren't great, they didn't distract me, or like they weren't so bad that it was like I can't even get into this or watch this or identify. It was just, there was a couple lines where you're like, it's not great.
It's kind of, it's the suspension of disbelief thing where it's like, like some people, just another example, but it's like there'll be some bad CGI in a film, and then some people will be like, the whole movie's bad because it had that scene that had bad CGI, and it's like, but did it tell the story? Did it convey the scene that it was trying to convey? Like, were you able to like gather what they were picking up, and like, can you move on and enjoy the narrative as a whole? And then this film, it's like, I think because the performances are pretty consistent throughout, you're able to like get used to it, and you're able to like be like, yep, I know that it's not necessarily going to be like this A-class delivery necessarily, but it's like, it's telling the story, they're delivering the dialogue, I'm understanding what's going on. It's not so jarring that it's not like somebody's laughing when they should be crying. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like that type of a thing.
And I think the performances are good enough at the key points in the story where they need to be good.
Yeah, believable.
Like
totally,
believable.
yeah.
Like it doesn't take you out of it at those like key climax points, or like the ending, which I don't want to spoil anything, obviously, but like that ending where it's this crazy kind of left turn, not expecting it, big moment of emotion and drama. Totally viable, totally believable. No one was like too over the top in the way that was taking me out of it.
It's a weird film. I think we started out strong. It was a strong beginning.
Very different.
Oh, that was different.
Not necessarily what I was saying. Well, it's funny because like the category that we selected was realism.
This is realistic.
It feels very realistic. This feels like the type of thing you could you could see a documentary about. It'd be like some fucked up people. This happened. Well, there's a new Netflix documentary about these two brothers who killed their parents. And I'm like, this is very
in line
like
with that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think interesting. I always like a film when it takes an interesting perspective, and this one being told from the younger brother's perspective, and like everything from through his lens, I thought was an interesting choice, and I think honestly is what made the film different and intriguing. Is it's all from that perspective of the younger brother finding out about his older brother, the family's secrets.
Yeah. And I like that it's like they didn't. Because they could have done like the Half-Life thing or the Halo thing where it's like the main character lacks character, but it's like he had his own stuff going on. Like the kid, like the main character, he's like we said at the movie is like he feels like somebody who's like just getting into voyeurism, and not voyeurism on people, but like he like finds his dad's stash of porno mags, and he finds his mom's like love letters to an old love of hers, and he finds his I don't want to spoil the brother thing in case you want to watch, but it's like he finds his brother's little thing that he does, and you can see that he's sticking his nose in places where it shouldn't be,
and like, he likes knowing. He also like takes pleasure, not like weird perverted pleasure, but like
tell everybody the pervert is back.
The pervert is back. The pervert is back. The pervert is back.
He gets something out of knowing his family's secrets. And he likes that he knows. And they don't know that he knows what they got going on. He likes that.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I think if you were a filmmaker, if you enjoy horror, you're a filmmaker. If you're not, if really graphic material, and like just think of all the big crimes, like list the big three crimes this movie or big two crimes this movie kind of deals with both of them. If that kind of subject matter doesn't dissuade you, then yeah, I would say give it a watch. Like it is a good, chilling, spooky crime type movie.
Serial killer.
It's not going to scare you. It's not scary at all, but it's interesting. It's a kind of a mystery. Well, it's not a mystery, but it's like you are very intrigued, and you're like, it starts this way. Yeah. How is this gonna possibly end in any sort of like a satisfying way?
Definitely did not expect how the ending. Like, we're people who watch a lot of movies, who've seen a lot of things, who generally, I don't know about you, but generally, if there's twists or whatever in movies, I kind of have an idea of where they're going pretty early on. Did not expect where this one was going.
Well, it's like I love that. I always appreciate when a film dishes out consistently, and it's like there's few things that are as frustrating as a film that like blows its wad like right at the beginning, or does something very exciting, or blows its wad in the middle, or like it has one scene or whatever, and it doesn't save its tricks.
And then it's kind of coasting for the rest of the film.
Yeah, this film has like a really intriguing opening, and it has this nice, beautiful build all the way to the end where it's like it's a fucking, what do you call it, an exponential curve where it just like shoots through the roof. So it's got a beautiful build.
Pacing. Pacing was very strong.
Calling this film beautiful, it feels wrong.
It doesn't feel right.
But yeah, and then like I said, I think if you're a filmmaker, just seeing what somebody was able to do with $8,000, it's inspiring. Once again, it's one of those movies that you see that and you're like, fuck yeah, I could maybe pull something together here. I could maybe figure something out. So yeah, I recommend it. Probably not to like 95% of people, but those 5% of people, they're I think they're gonna enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely not one to like throw into the rotation for spooky season, but
This wouldn't go well with Beetlejuice.
no, you're not going to watch like Friday the 13th and Hellraiser, and then I can see why it did well in the film festival circuit, though. It's kind of got that interesting like
Why do you think the movie's called Found?
because my theory would be that because it's about finding out, like it's about him finding out about the secrets
All the different
and-
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting title. It's like it's not
Yeah.
super obvious.
No.
Yeah.
Doesn't hold your hand in any way. The movie in general, I would say too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, with that being said, let's pull out the fucking wheel of evil doom, the unholy wheel, and pick our film for next time. So, because we have a physical wheel now, and I can't just delete items off the list, what we did is I wrote all the films down, and I randomized them. And then the film that got put on top, that film gets on the wheel twice, and that's what we'll just do from now on. Is some movies will be on twice and whatever, and it's nice and random still. Okay,
We need the
and-
pointer
Oh yes, our pointer.
or obelisk.
The what do they call it in 2001: Space Odyssey? The monolith. And we spin. And our movie next time will be Eden Lake. From, I can't read the year, 2008 or 2009? I'm not sure.
Some pre 2010.
A year that is not next year and isn't the 90s. Eden Lake, thank you so much for watching, everybody. And we will catch you on the next episode of the Infernal Archive.